Jolteon. Sorry I couldn't get a video out made for my actual live matchup. I was having recording issues, but I think got most of those figured out. I'm trying a couple new things in terms of software and whatnot. So again, if you guys have recommendations on what I can do to improve on this, always feel free to let me know either in DMs or in the comments. Just trying some things out just for fun this season. So this week we are playing Electric, and a little bit of confusion with when we were playing just because of the time zone differences and very busy schedules for both of us, but I appreciate him nonetheless for making this work with me. Just things get really hectic. I coach high school track for the pole vaulters, so the first week of the season was this last week, so that on top of work made me pretty busy for this entire week, and didn't help that most of my regular prep partners were busy as well, so definitely had to push it back a little bit further than I would have liked. So patience was definitely key this week for me and everyone else involved, so appreciate everyone in the league waiting for this match to finish up. But yeah, in this video I'm going to be going over the matchup and going over the games themselves since they've already been played, and just kind of give some post-match analysis. I'm also going to be going over some trades that I made that are going to be effective going into week 2 and for the rest of the season. Anyways, let's get right into it. Obviously we're playing Electric, who has a very, very solid team. The things that I was most worried about: Booster Valiant being pretty fast and hitting really hard against a lot of my Pokemon. Garchomp pretty much drops to most fairy type attacks, and Fluttermane doesn't really appreciate physical hits from any Pokemon, but Valiant in particular is very strong. And on top of that, he still has Weavile, he has Landorus, which could run mixed sets, Dreadnought, very strong rain attacker, Serena, Crawdaunt, all these very strong physical attackers, which were kind of threatening to me. He has Sableye, who's probably one of the most annoying prankster Pokemon you could face. Gets so many good utility moves. I mean, if you just scroll down in the Team Hawk doc to all the moves that it gets, it's just absolutely ridiculous. And on top of that, you add priority because of prankster, and you're in a world of hurt. But yeah, it gets priority taunt, it gets encore and disable, which is terrifying. I think it gets Will-O-Wisp as well. It didn't get Trick Room, which was one thing I was thankful for, because I didn't want to have to game plan around Sableye setting up Trick Room. And it also gets a ton of the weather modes, so definitely things I had to worry about, and he definitely has a good weather mode on his team, right? Charizard can be in the sun. If you really want to get spicy with it could be in the rain with like Hurricane and Weather Ball, so definitely something I had to think about looking out for. Dreadnought, obviously a very good Swift Swim Pokemon, and Crawdaunt, who could take advantage of the rain as well. Landorus, if you really wanted to, could spam 100% accurate, whatever its move is, Sand, Sheer Force, or Storm, or something like that. Whatever it is, it's now 100% accurate in rain, and add that on top of Sheer Force, and I'm not having a good day. So other things I had to look at: oh yeah, Toxtricity, spam Thunder if you really wanted to, although that's not really the purpose of it. But again, another thing that you add into a rain mode. He also has a sun mode. That was definitely a potential thing I had to look out for. Thankfully, Valiant doesn't have photosynthesis, so that was one thing I didn't have to worry too much about. But needless to say, he has a lot of threats, so we're just going to kind of look at what I came up with to play against him. And yeah, let me go ahead and see if I can find my team doc. I think I forgot to grab it. Shoot, I think I forgot to grab it. Give me one quick sec. We are going to see if I can find it. Here it is. Perfect. Awesome. So this is what I brought to week 1. First things first, Meowstic, very good prankster Pokemon to kind of counter his prankster Pokemon in Sableye. I ran it pretty bulky. I was more worried about the special side of his attacks, though I probably should have respected the physical mode a little bit more. But obviously Covert Cloak in case he wants to try faking me out, Terror Dark if he wants to try doing shenanigans with his Sableye. But I leaned heavily into his Sableye this week, or Electric Sableye this week. I know they definitely have a good option with that, so I had to figure out a way to get around it. So what I came up with was a few different options. We had Quick Guard on Virizion down here. We had Terra Dark on Fluttermane, so I would be immune to Prankster on that Pokemon. And I also had Psychic Terrain on Prankster, which could go up before Sableye and prevent anything he wanted to do to my side, should he try it. So yeah, a pretty fun strategy. I thought of a bunch of different things, just trying to get around his Prankster mode, and this is definitely one that I figured would work pretty well. Other than that, it just had a lowering voice to hit Dark types, since Psychic can't hit Dark. Also would hit a little bit harder if you try getting a stat boost, and then just standard Light Screen and Reflect. I thought of a few different support sets this week, but this is the one I came up with that I figured would work the best, just because I wanted to limit damage onto my side so I could just return damage in exchange. Moltres came with a Charty Berry. I forget which one that blocks. I think it's Rock. But yeah, pretty standard, just really bulky, a little bit of special attack. I think 140 speed outsped a few of the Pokemon on his side that I was worried about. I forget exactly what I was trying to outspeed. I believe I was trying to outspeed just everything faster than Toxtricity, so I believe that's what that speed stat hits. But yeah, just standard Flame Body, Charty Berry, Heat Wave, Tailwind, Protect, and Helping Hand. So yep, if I wanted a Tailwind mode, it was there, and it was just a bulky, pretty strong hitting Pokemon. Terra Water just to negate too much damage onto me if I ever got to that point. But yeah, Garchomp, funky set. Max attack, Adamant, 140 speed, which would guarantee to outspeed, I believe, the Landorus. Wait, no, not the Landorus. Shoot, gotta go back and look. Not Landorus, but Toxtricity. I was considering running it just to outspeed everything, so max and special or in attack and speed, but I kind of wanted to be a little bit bulkier and be able to eat more hits. So I switched it up and added 108 Spadef. I also kind of made these changes last minute just because I didn't really get much time to prep and practice, so I just kind of threw some things together. But the idea of this was just to be able to eat a couple more hits from Landorus if it came to that. Breaking Swipe, obviously Valiant is immune to it, but I just wanted something I could spread damage out with and lower attacks of other Pokemon on his side if it came to that. But for the most part, the strategy of Garchomp was two moves, Earthquake and Liquidation. Liquidation hit him really hard if he brought a Rain mode, and also just dealt a lot of damage in general, 100% accurate, single target move that I could use. Kind of a strange move choice, I know, but looking at his team, I saw that Landorus was really weak to it, Charizard was really weak to it. It hit Knuckle Stack if it decided to come, and if he brought Rain, it was boosted even further. So it was just something that I kind of liked a little bit more than just running like a stab move like Dragon Claw or something. Earthquake just hit his team pretty hard, and I had the Moltres just to pair next to it if I really wanted it for just Earthquake spam. And basically the idea of Garchomp was I would just kind of send it out and deal damage with it, hopefully play around my protects just so I wouldn't hit myself if it came to that. But yeah, this specific set was supposed to be paired with Virizion if it came to it, which you might notice has also a pretty interesting spread. 252 defense, 204 speed, outspeed the Landorus, and then Terra Ice, Terra Blast, in case it came to a point where I could get it out in front of it and just outspeed and one hit KO it. Also comes with Quick Guard, which would block his priority moves onto me, including Prankster moves. I did confirm this; it does block Prankster moves, so that's a pretty cool tech. Leaf Storm just to hit Knuckle Stack and Dreadnought, and then I put a White Herb on it just so I wouldn't have no special attacks since this thing doesn't really have a high base special attack. Coaching was also on there just to boost up for Alligator or Garchomp if it came to that. Fluttermane was a centerpiece of this team. Terror Dark to prevent Prankster onto me. Also had a lot of speed investment just so I could guarantee outspeed that Valiant with booster. I put a little bit of special attack into it. I think it was supposed to guaranteed out or kill the Valiant, depending on if it ran a little bit of bulk. But I believe this thing just was put into. Oh yeah, it was the one hit KO the Sableye, I believe, or at least put it into solid range. And then added a decent amount of physical bulk just to make it last a little bit longer. And I guess the last mon on this team, everyone's least favorite according to our power rankings and controversy with trades, for Alligator, who I'm stoked to have on this team. Just a pretty standard Cheer Force Dragon Dance set. Initially, this was meant to outspeed all of his Pokemon if I got a Dragon Dance up, including Weavile, but I decided that I wanted a little bit more bulk, so I just made it so it would outspeed the Landorus with a Dragon Dance up. But yeah, Ice Punch and Liquidation, kind of a weird combo, but I just wanted to be able to hit his grass and ground types if it came to that, and then just stab Liquidation. Terra Dragon just to resist a lot of the moves that he has on his team. Particularly, I was looking at not being weak to grass and not being weak to, what was it, electric. That's pretty much it, and then I was neutral to everything else besides fairy. So pretty much all that I thought of for this week. Again, prep was kind of rushed and spread out, so yeah, let's just go and get into it. I'm going to turn this speed to slow, and we're just going to play with the sound off and talk through how this went. So yeah, this is actually game 2. Let's switch this around. Whoops, pretend that didn't happen. Silly me. Alright, take 2. Awesome, alright. Now we're at game 1. So he leads Sableye and Dreadnought, so immediately I'm thinking, okay, he's going to set up Rain. I decided to go Flutter plus Meowstic, and the idea here was use Meowstic to set up Reflect or prevent his priority moves, depending on what his lead was. When I saw that he went Dreadnought, I immediately thought I could just not worry about setting up Psychic Terrain to block some Prankster moves onto him, but I also didn't want him, just in the off chance that he did, to hit me with like a Thunder Wave or something, or a Quash. So I decided to instead set up Reflect on the Meowstic and then Terror Dark on the Fluttermane, just to cover for if he wanted to hit me with a Prankster priority move, just so I'd be immune to it. So I Terror Dark, I get the Reflect up, and he just sets up Rain immediately and decides to smack me with Liquidation. And because of Reflect, I lived that hit, which is huge, but I'm definitely taking a lot more damage than I thought I would like. He does have the Roselli Berry to take less damage onto that Sableye, which is a little bit annoying. And I know that one more hit, this Fluttermane is going down. So I protect the Fluttermane, and I'm hoping just to get rid of this Sableye with Alluring Voice. And I do get that read right. He will-o-wisp my Meowstic. I'm not too worried about that. He tries attacking into the Flutter. So far so good, but then the Sableye lives that one hit, and I, at this point, am not feeling too hot about my position in the game. However, I do know that I can eat a couple hits from Dreadnought because of Reflect if I send in another Pokemon that I have in the back, and I don't think he's just going to raw Will-O-Wisp into my Flutter, since it shouldn't actually do anything to me. It was obviously something he could predict. It was just kind of a risk I had to take. So I send in Garchomp after this turn, hoping to catch like a Liquidation and put a little bit of chip damage into one of those 2 Pokemon if they attack me. He ends up just doubling up on the Meowstic, which I end up eating beautifully, and I get an Alluring Voice off into Turtle Eclipse. I was kind of hoping he would like use Shadow Steak if he had it, and he did end up having it into Garchomp and just kind of knock himself out. but that did not end up happening, and honestly at this point I felt like this was just fine. I knew he was going to try will-o-wisping me this turn with Priority Prankster, so I decided to set up Terrain on this turn just to prevent that. So he Terra Bugs, which is super interesting. I really like that move from Electric. They do try to hit me with Will-O-Wisp, but I call that play pretty well, and I set up my Terrain, and I just get a really strong Earthquake off with a really nice crit onto the Dreadnought. So a little bit of lucky there, but that Terra Bug definitely saved him. That thing was dying either way if it didn't Terra. So I sent in for Alligator, hoping to take advantage of some rain, but at this point I see booster speed on that Valiant, and I'm terrified. I don't know if it's special or physical. I know that I'm going to get outsped by both these Pokemon. And I'm just like going through a bunch of different scenarios in my head about what I can do to survive this turn, or at least get something out of it. And I noticed that both my Reflect and Rain end this turn, so I think I actually kind of misplayed at this point. I knew that he was probably going to be able to hit my Garchomp really hard, but I knew for Alligator would be able to eat a hit. So I feel like I should have just protected on the Chomp and attacked with Feraligatr to take advantage of this turn of rain. However, I choose just to double protect, just to stall out the rest of the rain. And yeah, he just doubles in. He uses, I believe, Spirit Break or Icy Wind. Yeah, he uses Icy Wind on my side. And at this point, I'm like, okay, shoot. Now he's going to try outspeeding me again. With the Dreadnought, and at this point I didn't quite realize that he was Scarf on this Dreadnought. I probably should have realized that when he outsped my Flutter Mane, but I didn't actually bother to do the calcs on the speed, so that's on me. But I feel like I should have probably read into that pretty quick. But yeah, anyways, survive the rain. I know that I'm going to be faster than, or I know that I can at least eat a hit, and I do end up eating that hit because of a little bit of bulk investment, and what's huge is my Citrus Berry activates, so I'm back up to near 50%, and that Dreadnought cannot knock me out because there's no more rain up, so this is huge for me. He clicks attacks into my Garchomp, takes a little bit of chip damage, and I hit him with a Liquidation to knock him out. And at this point I'm like, okay, sweet, now I can knock out the Flutter, or the Valiant with Liquidation, and it lives on 1%. I think that was a roll. I forget the exact calc, but in my head I thought that thing was definitely gonna go down to that. I probably should have ran that calc a little bit more thoroughly, just so I would have been able to predict that a little bit better. But this is why I definitely kind of regret not attacking during that last turn of rain, because it definitely would have killed in rain. And I think in my head I was thinking, oh, it's going to do a lot of damage in rain, it'll probably just take it out, and I kind of forgot. So kind of a misplay on my part, and this roll is honestly pretty lucky. So now his Valiant is still alive at 1% HP, ready to do some havoc, and he sends in the Landorus, and I'm like, okay, this game's probably a wrap, but I've gotten some pretty good information. Oh, spoke too soon. He misses the Icy Wind, so kind of like a little bit of justice for justice on that roll for Liquidation, but definitely got lucky there. Won't deny that. Definitely changed the course of this game. I definitely think he probably should, or they should have attacked just into each slot 100% effectively, since Electro know that they would have outsped me with both Pokemon after Garchomp dies. So I definitely can't say that Icy Wind wasn't a slightly risky play, just because if it's not 100% accurate, it's not 100% accurate. So does miss that. For Alligator, takes barely any damage, and this allows me to one, see that he has Substitute on that Landorus, and two, just kind of break that sub and knock out the Valiant. So yeah, kind of a greedy play from Electric. I think they definitely should have probably just attacked on both Pokemon, and I end up living that hit with that Earth Power. So definitely a little bit unfortunate, but it's the game. RNG is a big part of it. I've been on both sides of it before, so I definitely know the pain of it. But this game definitely got away with a little bit, but also got a lot of good information just going into the next game. So yeah, moving into game 2. We've already started it. Great. So He sends in his lead of Weavile plus Iron Valiant, and he Terror Darks immediately. My thought process into this was he's going to try faking me out on the Feraligatr, and just knocking it out, or he's going to like double the Meowstic. And I figured that the most important piece in this game was the Feraligatr. All I needed Meowstic to do was either heal a little bit of chip off with Alluring Voice, or just set up Reflect for me. And I figured Reflect, given his team, was very, very valuable. So I just set up a Reflect. I had Covert Cloak, so I wasn't worried about a fake out or anything, and I protected Feraligatr. And he reached that pretty well. He doubles into my Meowstic after the Reflect, and does end up knocking me out because of that Terror Dark. I don't know if I survive this hit through Reflect if he doesn't Terror Dark, but definitely a good idea, just trying to get rid of my support mon early just so I can't do anything with it later. But at this point in the game, I'm feeling okay, just based off what I learned about his team in Game 1. I feel like if I lost Game 1, I still was in a pretty good position, just information-wise, in terms of what he wanted to do, or they wanted to do. So definitely happy just to see the Meowstic kind of go down so I could get a free switch into something else. So yeah, Feraligatr's perfectly safe behind a Reflect now, and I can send in my Flutter Mane, who's now the fastest Pokemon on the field. Alright, so at this point, I'm trying to figure out what he wants to do. I don't know if it's Weavile Sash, but that's my suspicion, and I know everything's going to outspeed my Feraligatr. On this Flutter Mane, though, I have Icy Wind. Comes back from that Game 1, they had Icy Wind, and it kind of backfired on them, so guess we'll see if I can return the favor or if it works out for me. But the idea here was to click Icy Wind, reduce the speed on the Weavile, and if it wasn't max speed, my Feraligatr should be able to outspeed it. So he protects on the Valiant, which I love to see. I was like, great, great, great. He shouldn't be able to KO me with any move that I know of. Electric did say that they clicked Triple Axle in their video into the Flutter Mane, so I don't know what the role is on that behind Reflect. But I was super happy to see that protect from the Valiant, because I clicked Icy Wind, it's no longer resisted, it does a solid 20%, drops the speed, and Feraligatr just finishes it up with the double up. So Feraligatr 1, Feraligatr hater 0 so far. So he sends in the Dreadnought, he doesn't have any rain support. I did kind of figure out it was Choice Scarf at this point, because I'm going to see that it outspeeds my Feraligatr, and I was a little bit thrown off by that, but I was like, okay, that kind of makes sense. But I do just pick up an easy KO with Moonblast. They protected last turn, so pretty simple for me. And at this point, I'm like, I'm not gonna be able to KO this Dreadnought with Feraligatr yet, so I'm just gonna set up Dragon Dance and get ready for whatever's in the bag. And that worked out great. I take almost nothing from that Rock Slide. No misses or flinches, so far so good. And he sends in the Landorus, and at this point I'm like, okay, this game's pretty much sealed. I outspeed the Landorus. I now realize that my speed tiers against this Dreadnought are it being a little bit faster than me. So that was good to know. But I just put some damage into the Dreadnought. He clicks Rock Slide. It does hit both, but does not get a flinch, and I'm able to just finish off the Landorus with an Ice Punch. So this Feraligator's doing great work for me early on in the season, and at this point, we just finish up the game. Solid 2-0 win against Electric's very, very scary team. Definitely had a lot of ideas in prep that I wasn't sure if they were going to go well with, but overall, at the end of the day, it did end up working, and yeah, really solid week 1 game for me. Super happy with how that went. Yeah, but a little bit of luck, a little bit of good plays, good calls on both sides. So big shout out to Electric, who's been one of the most amazing people in the server since I've entered. Really want to thank them for just being super accepting and welcoming to me as I enter VBL, and just being an overall really, really great person. They definitely helped me a lot with like prep before, drafting ideas and whatnot, and really big shout out to them. Definitely check out their video, I'll link it in the description. Yeah, GG's Electric. So yeah, pretty happy with how that went. Yeah, starting off the season 1-0 definitely feels good. So, that being said, let's go ahead and take a look at some trades that I made going in to week 2 and the rest of the season. So, let's go ahead and head over to my draft HQ. So, you'll notice that there are a few new faces on this team. Things that I realized after the draft and looking at people's power rankings and analyzing my division. What was I weak to? I agreed that Garchomp didn't have a huge amount of support behind it because the only thing it could spam Earthquake next to, Moltres, and there was no real Disquake users that I could pair it with, so that was kind of unfortunate. If I had gotten Zapdos, maybe that would have worked a little bit better, but I ended up having Moltres, so c'est la vie. However, I saw Rotom Frost sitting there at 7 points, or 6 points, in fact, and thought, there's my Disquake spammer. It's an electric resistance, it is a ground immunity, it gets, I guess, an ice move in Blizzard, which isn't super reliable, but it is something I can spam Disquake next to, and I think it opens up a few more doors for me in terms of what I can do with this team. So super happy to pick up Rotom Frost. I think it fits the team really, really well. Just in terms of the speed tiers of this team, it looks just fine. So super happy with that pickup. The other thing I noticed was I got folded by Trick Room. I had 2 Pokemon that won Trick Room, and they're both Ray up here, and they're both really fast. So Imprison Trick Room can only get me so far. Obviously, it's a viable strat, but that's also 2 move slots that you're using up on any given week on either of these Pokemon. So I figured I should probably lean into my Trick Room mode a little bit more, just so I can actually play under Trick Room should I need to. Bisharp was fine under Trick Room. It's not the slowest, but it's not the fastest. It's just kind of in the middle there at 78 or 70 speed. For Alligator's kind of the same idea. It's a little bit too fast to really work under Trick Room. But for me, when it comes to Trick Room, what I'm thinking of is you only have to be slower than your opponent, and there's definitely ways to get around that. However, at this point in my draft, I realized that I only had a single Pokemon, Ampharos, that really worked under Trick Room, so I figured I should probably increase that number. So, pick up Chestnut, 1-for-1 swap, 7 points for 7 points on the Virizion, and now I get a slower, bulkier, same type attacker as Virizion, with some pretty good utility. Chestnut has much better attack, much better defense, a little bit weak on the special defensive side, but a nice, slow, bulky Pokemon that I can use under Trick Room or any given week. It gets some really good utility moves like Wide Guard, it gets Spiky Shield, and also gets Iron Defense Body Press, so that feels pretty good to have on the team now. I think that fits really, really well, and I'm really happy to have that pickup. Other thing that I got, Furret does one thing and one thing only. First, follow me. Every single week it comes, it's pretty much doing that. Consistent redirection was something that this team really, really wanted, with that Garchomp and Feraligatr and maybe that Fluttermane as well. And Scovillain just wasn't going to be able to do that consistently on a week-to-week basis. However, Furret gets follow me, and that's literally all I need it for. It gets some other pretty nice utility moves that I'm pretty happy about, but I'm going to go ahead and keep those secret for now, just because I haven't really thought about what I'm going to do with it besides to follow me, but consistent redirection is really, really big for this team, and for it, definitely feels really good to have at this point. Super happy to have that picked up. And last but not least, Luxio. It was kind of just like a way to make the points work out for my other trades, but it gave me another Intimidator because I got rid of Quillfish, and it's an Eviolite bulky Pokemon that I can use some of its support moves with, like Eerie Impulse. I think it gets Electro Web. I think it gets Snarl, and obviously it gets Intimidate. So happy to have that. Just a nice pickup to have, and I think it really rounds out the team very, very well overall with these 4 trades. Definitely will be looking into doing some player-to-player trades at some point in the season, but for now, this is what I have. Really, really stoked about what I picked up, and really happy with how the season has started so far. So, looking forward to continuing to build and learn how to use this team in the future, and definitely looking forward to seeing what everyone else in the league does. So yeah, thanks for watching. Really appreciate you guys giving me the feedback and support that you have. I'm going to try to keep doing videos like this. And let me know if you'd be interested in seeing some other type of content. I do rock climbing and pole vault, so might try sliding in some videos like that into my page at some point. But yeah, thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you guys later.